Imagine a city built in the desert, raised like a bright new argument against the past, a capital consecrated to a single sun disk, buzzing with art and strange rituals, alive for only a single generation, and then, almost overnight, wiped from the maps, its name scrubbed from the monuments, its memory buried like a secret. This is the story of Akhetaten, the city that vanished from history, and how it returned whispering in clay tablets and painted fragments. A capital built to be seen, and then made to be forgotten. In the mid-14th century BCE, a pharaoh named Amenhotep IV stopped using his old name and became Akhenaten. He did something almost unheard of. He picked a blank stretch of desert on the Nile's east bank and ordered a city to be built from scratch, a capital named Akhetaten, horizon of the Aten. This wasn't just urban planning. It was a political and religious revolution, the center stage for a new cult that placed the sun disk Aten at the very heart of power. Walk its broad royal road and you'd see open-air temples rather than closed sanctuaries, houses carved into the cliff face for officials, long courtyards where the sun's disk bathed the royal family in rays of painted light. The art, the so-called el-Amarna style, turned kings into strangely human figures, long limbs, affectionate family scenes, and an attention to daily life almost never shown in earlier pharaonic art. This short-lived city produced a visual language the world had never seen. Akhetaten was not just a palace and pottery, it was a diplomatic hub. Hundreds of clay tablets, the Amarna letters, turned up in the ruins, written in cuneiform and filled with messages between the Egyptian court and rulers across the Near East. They show a living, acting capital, envoys, requests, rivalries, a city at the center of international politics for the first time in Egypt's history. Those tablets would later help the modern world unlock the reality of Akhetaten. Revolution rarely goes unchallenged. After Akhenaten's death, the old religious and political forces, centers like Thebes and the powerful priesthoods, moved back into the picture. Akhetaten, with its radical religion and new iconography, became politically dangerous. Its temples were closed or dismantled, royal names and portraits were chiseled out of monuments, and the people who followed its practices were quietly pushed aside. Within a generation the city was abandoned, its stones salvaged for other works, its streets reclaimed by desert and time. In effect, the state did not simply abandon the city, it tried to erase the experiment from official memory. For centuries Akhetaten existed as a rumor, a place locals saw as ruined mounds. Then in the late 19th century the earth gave up secrets. Local finds of tablets and art reached European scholars, enterprising excavations followed. Archaeologists such as W.M. Flinders Petrie undertook methodical work at the site in the 1890s, and the finds, from textual tablets to extraordinary painted reliefs, forced a rethinking of that forgotten pharaoh. Objects from the site, including the famous painted portraits of Nefertiti and the Amarna reliefs, eventually arrived in museums and in public imagination, restoring Akhenaten's story to the world. Because Akhenaten's life was brief and intensely documented, unusual for an ancient capital, it offers us a rare time capsule, an entire court's art, correspondence, and urban plan left in a single place. It shows how quickly a political and religious revolution can be built, and how violently it can be pushed aside. In the ruins and in the clay we read a story of courage, experiment, and an attempt to imagine a different world, and then the blunt force of a society closing ranks to erase that imagining.